So, welcome everyone. Welcome back to another Live Your Best Life Doing What You Love. I am super excited, and I'm always excited. You guys know I'm always excited, but today, of course, is a special day. And today I have one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. And I think I always say that, but guess what? I am a lover of people and everyone that I meet, right? Absolutely love them. And so today I have with me Anita Newson. I am so excited. You guys know this channel is all about living your best life, doing what you love. And I interview people that are living in their purpose. They're doing something, right, that they absolutely love. And I want to talk about it. I want to know what they're doing and I want to know how they got started. So today, without further ado, I want to welcome Miss Anita Newson.
Oh my goodness, Dr. Melissa, it is such a pleasure and an honor to be here with you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, wow. No doubt. No doubt. So we're going to just jump in. So I want you to tell the audience a little bit about who you are and how you got started doing what you're doing, right? Let's hear it.
Wow, let's see if we can find the short version to that, right?
Long
Well,
version is fine. Long version is fine. We got some time.
okay, wow. All right, amazing. So we know that one of the things we have in common is we're both veterans, right? And so I got out of the military and got married. I got out so I could come back to the States and be with got married and be with my husband. And so started traveling with him. He was still active duty, and we got stationed in Fort Benning, Georgia, now for a more, right? In Columbus, Georgia. And so one of the churches that we got connected to had a huge, beautiful building that they wanted to do a school in, daycare, all these different things, but they needed funding. And so they pulled some of us together to form a grant team. So that was my first, when it comes to that part of what I do, that was my first experience with it, learning from a few other folks that had been doing it for years. And from that, I got an interest in wanting to learn more. So, I would go to different trainings. Back then we didn't do no virtual stuff. You had to get in your car and you had to drive to the next state over or the next city over and go to that training, right? So I went to different trainings and things of that nature. And then I started to work with, community organizations in Columbus, Georgia, whether that was churches or other nonprofits that work with youth and different things like that. And just was getting my feet wet still, right? um, really still learning from other people and still, working in a team type setup and, going to train and stuff like that. So, life happens, kept having kids, right? So I ended up with my four sons. And I remember the last son that I had, right after I'd had him, he was probably maybe about a year or so old. And I was like, you know what? I really, really want to get certified as a grant writer. I really want to do that. So at the time, I had just stopped doing my home. I had to go back to my memory. I stopped doing my home daycare because I did that, and I'd helped other people open their daycares and stuff like that. Right. So I did a lot of different stuff. And I said, but I got to have money to go get this certification. So I said, you know what? I'm going to get this little part-time job. I'm going to earn the money I need to go and pay for this certification that I want to get. And you know what happened, right? Got that job, was all, and this is how, because I know how I am, dedicated, and then I put my all in everything. Got that part-time job. I was actually working at a rehabilitation center and nursing home through the activities department, and the new director had all this vision, and I've always been a person that if I really believed in something somebody was doing, I'm there to support you. Yeah. So I've got all about getting certified, right? Got all involved in helping her build, her department and all these different things. And, after that, got another job. And after that, got another job. Then completely forgot about my whole purpose of going back to work to earn the money. And God brought that back to my remembrance probably about 2-3 years ago. And the last job I had, I was actually working in the foster care industry. And what I did with that was I trained and recruited and retained foster parent homes. So, we did training with them all the time. I was a CPR first aid instructor, so I always recertified them in CPR first aid. And we had to create, our own training programs and stuff to make sure they had the requirements each year they needed. And it was such a demanding job. And I had just finished my master's, and I was like, Lord, I know it's more than what you want me to do. This is not it. I had hit a ceiling, and it was like there was no growth, nowhere for me to go from there. And I was like, it's time for me to leave. And I remember sitting down with my sons, because we used to have it weekly, but now everybody's so busy. We have our family meetings, right? And I remember sitting down with my 4 sons, and I was like, look, I'm going to quit my job. I don't know right now what I'm going to do. I was in a training program with my first coach, my first business coach, and she talked about how to monetize your experience, your education. And I just did it scared. And, I had a little nest egg.
Just do it. I'm sorry.
I was like, okay, Lord, it's me and you out here in these streets. Let's do this. What you want me to do, right? And that's what I went back to doing, was working with clients, working with people to, to understand the grant process. But I come to find out, people were coming to me by word of mouth, but they weren't ready. Everybody wanted to apply for grants. Oh, I want a grant. I'm like, okay, well, give me this. You got that. And then they weren't sending me nothing. And I'm like, well, okay. So you do realize this is not a magic show. I didn't say that. That's what I'm thinking to myself is I can't pull things out of the air. I don't know what your program is. You're doing awesome work. And that's what happens a lot of times. Organizations, especially nonprofit, CEOs, they're doing this amazing work. They're doing all these things. They've been doing it for years. They were doing it before they even got their 501c3 status, right?
Right.
But they didn't have any backing. They didn't have, the structures in place, documentation of things. And so now they heard about grants. It's like, oh, I heard I can get free money. It's out there, but are you ready to get it?
Okay.
And so that's when I had to go back to the drawing table, and I was like, you know what? People need to be educated on what it takes to be what I like to call grant ready. So that when they do come across an opportunity, they can just apply. They're ready for it. And they're not scrambling around trying to find an outline to explain the program. And where's my IRS determination letter? And, oh my God, I ain't got no resumes on my board members. All these different things that are required. They're trying to scramble at the last minute, and it's not gonna work like that. Oh, wow. So that's when I started to focus even more on the education side of, the grant ready process. And I'm not going to say less on the other side, but I'm a type of person, I like, the old saying that, you give a person a fish, they're going to keep coming back to you for the fish, right? But if you teach them how to fish, then you're making a change.
Right.
So I believe in teaching people how to fish. Maybe I'm putting myself out of a job, but my thing is I need people to understand the process. And I'm sure you understand with what you do as well. You want people to understand the process, not just tell them, well, do this, do that, do that.
Right.
Because it's a process.
Right.
It's a learning process. And it's a process on, learning how it works, just like anything else. So I guess that was a long version. I don't know. Did I answer your question?
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. So I love that. And it's interesting because, of course, I teach government contracting, right? And I've been doing it for 32 years. And I let people know that success is a system, right? Government contracting is a system. And what I've just heard you say is grant writing is a system. I love that. And I don't know if you're doing it, but I'm going to ask you, do you have a course where you're teaching people how to get grant ready?
So glad you asked that question. So I have one digital product that I created, and its overall process of the 3-phase process that I, kind of created, right? That I need to coin. But I created that, and I do sell that. But what I'm doing right now actually is this is the second time because I did a colleague of mine. She has a nonprofit, and I trained. I
I
think it
have
was
one too.
three. Yes, you do. I trained three of her folks that volunteer with her organization, through it. But right now, I'm actually working with another nonprofit. She's Nigerian, but she's here in the States. But what she does is one of the programs she has, she helps widows and single moms with, obtaining skills. And so I created this program where right now, I'm actually the first two single moms that I'm teaching are in Africa. And I've been working with them for a while now. And so we're at the stage now to where it's like, okay, we're about to do some real work. Because my desire with that program is to, it's twofold. One is training them where they can work with me, right? And help, me with clients and things of that nature. But the second part of that is so they can have skills where they can do a livable wage themselves. So, after they learn from me, and I'm not charging them anything, vice versa, whatever, but they'll have a skill now that they can market themselves and hopefully make money from it. So, yes, to answer your question, yes, but I'm more so teaching it versus I'm still putting all of it together. You know how I go.
I do.
I got all the stuff in my notes and all the other things, resources that I use, and I just teach it. We do this. We get on a Zoom. Matter of fact, today, Tuesday mornings, is when I do it with them. I had a class this morning with them. We got on. What they're working on right now is actually learning, because the last phase they went through is learning how to match. Because I gave them real clients that people either I've worked with in the past or, volunteering with right now. I gave them a real organization and they had to build a grant template for them. Then after that, they started looking for grants that match, organizations that match the funding, what they're doing. And now what we're actually doing is research. Because I tell people all the time, research, this whole process of grant readiness and applying, 80% of what you're doing is research. 20% is writing. So that's the part people don't want to do, is the research part. And say, I love doing research. I love learning new stuff. So, researching the funders, learning about them, researching the people that they've funded before, seeing, okay, well, what did they do? What are they doing to get funded? Okay. Just researching organizations in their community to see who's giving the money and who they're giving it to. What are they funding? Where's the money funneling from? It's a lot of research that goes into this process. So that's where we are right now. I'm teaching them how to find, use databases, use Google, use all these other different things to look for funding sources. And so we're looking for grants and stuff right now.
I love it. I love it. So it's interesting because I do have a nonprofit, the Veteran Support Network, and of course it's a passion of mine. And I really didn't realize what all it took to run or just to be a founder, because I'm not really running it, but to be a founder for a nonprofit. And I knew that, the idea of grants was available to me. But I think that a lot of individuals like myself, we don't really understand, Anita, what all is involved with getting grants. We hear about, oh, there's free money. Oh, you can get a grant. But we don't really understand. So it's great that you're sharing with the audience today, like what's all involved. And I love that idea. And me and my team, we're going to work with you to get this course out that you need to help people to get grant ready. So we're going to talk about it at the end. So don't let me forget, because I think that's amazing what you're doing. And I love your attitude about, making sure that you teach people versus just doing it for them. I like do it for me, but then I also need to understand what all is involved. And we're going to get to this next thing that I really want to talk about, because oftentimes what people don't understand when they're dealing with a professional like yourself, they don't understand that what you do, it is a skill. right? And what you do, you spend time, years and years and years, understanding and perfecting your skill. And therefore, it costs money. It costs
Yes,
money.
ma'am.
And
Costs me money to learn,
right.
and I need that in return.
Exactly, exactly. So I want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the biggest hurdles and challenges that you have or that you face as a grant writer, right? And following your passion and living your best life doing what you love. And the reason I said the money thing, because I already know, you don't have to tell me. I already know that that has to be one of the challenges is that people want a grant, but they don't understand the process. So tell me, talk to me about that challenge, because I know it's one, because, we all, as coaches, as mentors, as teachers and trainers, that's one of the challenges that we all face. But talk to me about some more of your challenges and also that one as well, because people just don't understand what's all involved.
Yes. So I guess one of the first things that comes to mind is, you know, I I want to help everybody, right? A lot of the people that come to me, I connect with them, and I know this. Everybody, you're not meant to work with everybody, right? Everybody's not a part of your tribe or whatever, whatever you want to call it. But when I do, really connect with a vision and something that somebody's doing, and then, because a lot of them come to me and they think, well, we can get your fees out of the grant. And it doesn't work like that. The reason it doesn't work like that is because number one, most grants are not going to allow you to include money for a grant writer. They're just not going to do it.
Okay.
They just don't do it. Now, there may be some governmental grants that may have a section, and they are monsters. I know like with the contracts and stuff. Yes, when you're talking about a government grant, yeah, they're giving away millions of dollars, but they may only are awarding 5 awards for this $10 million.
Wow.
And they're not going to give everybody the same amount.
Mhm.
It depends on what your budget is and all these things, right? That's a whole nother conversation. But, I want to help these people so bad, but then they don't have the money to pay me.
Right, right.
So they want to get paid. They want me to get paid at the end after. Well, what if we don't get the grant? Then what I supposed to do? I've already done the work.
Right.
This is a lot of work. People don't understand. Oh, you just writing? No, I'm not just writing. There's been times when I had to actually call organizations in a community because I needed a resource. I needed numbers. You got to have data. They're not just gonna go on your word. Oh, it's this many homeless veterans in. No, but who said that? Oh, the U.S. Census. Oh, okay. So the U.S. Census says that there are 60% of veterans in the Atlanta, Georgia area are homeless. These kind of numbers, they want statistics, especially when you're talking about government grants. You can be talking about, your, woe is me type story. You got to give them numbers and statistics, and you got to be able to. It's just like doing a thesis. You know what I'm saying? You got to have your references. They want to know all these things. So I've had to call, the AAA, the Area Agency on Aging. Be like, look, I need some numbers on the elderly in your community that are living below the poverty level. Do you have this kind of reports? Oh, yeah, sure. Bam. I get the report. They email it to me or whatever. Or they'll say, okay, we're limited to this amount. Let me connect you with this other agency. They actually have more data on our county, maybe. I'm just, using this for an example. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into, you just don't write a grant and be like, okay, here it is. Because you got to think about it. These people get hundreds, just like with contracts, they get hundreds and hundreds of applications. How's your application going to stick out? What are you doing different than, your counterpart down the street? How are you going to stick out and be unique? So, I tell clients and I tell people, some of the things they look for, they want to see you partner up with folks because you can't do everything, right? You can't be the answer all, right? We want to be, and that would be beautiful, but we're not. So let's say if it was let's just use your organization for an example. Maybe you wanted to, and I think this might be one of the things that I saw that, you do is job skills, right? Veterans, we have to look at the root problem. Why are they homeless?
Right.
Why are they on the street? No, it's not because they lost their job, or no, it's not because, they got a divorce or whatever, and then, everything went to hell or whatever you want to call it. Mm-hmm. What is the root problem? Oh, they didn't have the skills to keep up with this digital age. Mm-hmm. They don't have any computer skills. They don't have whatever kind of skills. Mm-hmm. So now we're talking about, okay, let's answer that problem, right? Mm-hmm. So the problem is they don't have the skills to be able to keep up with the kind of industry maybe they were in the past, but now they can't keep up because they don't have the skills to really stay in that industry. Mm-hmm. Experience is not enough. You got to have more skills. So then you have a program that, help with job skills, but you don't teach job skills. Right. That's not what you do. Right. You go over here to the technical college. Right. And you like, look, let's do this together. I have this program. You have these skills that you're teaching, the vocational program. How about either I send my people here or you have somebody come down. Our satellite office, we collaborate, do this together. You get your MOU from them, your memorandum of understanding or your support letter, and you make that a part of your grant package. Mm-hmm. So now you're doing some things that they like to see. Right. You might start sticking out a little bit more now because somebody else might not be doing it. So you have to find, they have to find ways to make, have to be unique and stand out all these hundreds of applications that they get all the time. Girl, I be talking now. I don't even remember what the question was. So
yeah, some of the challenges that you face, right? So we know and that's why I said, you've got to do this program because I don't know, what does it look like for me as a nonprofit to get grant ready, right? And I know that everybody, like I said earlier, everybody says, oh, you can get a grant, but there's so many pieces to getting a grant that I think people don't understand. And it does cost. You can't pay at the back end. You got to pay up front. So it's not like a house, you pay the realtor when you sell the house. No, you have to pay because there's so much that goes into what you do. So, what are other challenges that you face as it relates to, I guess, identifying grants for specific groups? Like, what other challenges have you faced with identifying grants?
Well, to be able to find grants, like I said, one of the phase 2 of my get grant ready process is matching, meaning the organization, Veteran Support Network is the organization. You know what your programs are, you know what you're doing, and what you want to provide, the services and whatever, products, whatever you might want to do. But now you have to find funders that want to do the same thing. So this is like a partnership that you're. So if the organization, Veteran Support Network, you got it all up in here, right? You know what you're doing. Mm-hmm. You tell your team what to do. They activate, right? They run with the vision. But when it comes to somebody like me, now you want me to help you apply for grants. I can't get what's in your head. Right. I can't get. So sometimes I've had to actually sit down because they didn't have anything in writing. They didn't have anything about, product descriptions and why they created the product. Mm-hmm. Right. So what's so special about your product? Why do you think somebody should give you some free money to help you manufacture this product? They don't have anything in writing for me to go by to try to apply for a grant. Like I said before, I can't grab stuff out of the sky. So I've had to sit down and actually interview, CEOs, directors, to where you sit down, okay, when did the program start? What made you start the program? Who is the program for? Target population, all these different things that is going to be asked for in this grant. Now I got to sit down and ask you all these questions because you don't have these things documented. Were you doing this before you started your 501c3s? Because a lot of people, they start the work before they even get their letter, right? They've been volunteering, and I tell them all the time because these funders, they want to know what's your history. You just woke up one day, oh, I want to help veterans. No, it started back with your father, you know, and things that he did, as a veteran, things that he did to help the veteran community. So maybe you helped him with the things he did, and it wasn't even a 501c3. It was just work he did. So that work counts. Yes, it didn't just start when you got that letter in the mail. It started back when your dad was, I'm just using this for an example, your dad was passing out sandwiches under the bridge. Okay. That's when it started. It started when you started volunteering at other organizations to help people with the same kind of issues. That's when you started your pathway on this. It doesn't start just when you get the building or the piece of paper. It started when you first started the work. So having to sit down, that is a challenge when I want to, I'm starting to work with someone, but they can't verbalize, I don't have anything to go by. So now I got to sit down and take the time to interview you. That's a lot of work.
So with your program, the course that you're gonna launch, because I'm claiming it. So with the tool that you've already created, right? Get Grant Ready, right? Now, does it outline, Anita, the things that one would need to know in order to be even able to come and sit and have a conversation with you about grants? Would they need to do those things and then come to you and have the conversation?
What I like to do is I do like for them to view that, the video. It's a video, and then I have a workbook to go along with it. Yeah. I like for them to go through that first because that's sort of like my orientation. Mm-hmm. So I like for them to go through that, and then we come back and we review and we go over questions. We have a Q&A, okay. And then I kind of do a quick review, go over it myself in person, via Zoom or what have you. And we go over those sections, because phase 1 talks about the who, what, why, when, all those things. Mm-hmm. Right. This is all the information that needs to go in your grant template. So who is this program or product for? Who is your target population? Why did you start what you do? What is your, like I said before, what is your organizational history? Mm-hmm. Target population, history. What is your program design? Okay. What are the activities that you implement to put this program into action? Okay. Who are the people that the staff? Are they trained? Are they qualified to teach the program that you're doing with your target population? What is your timeline? Some of the same things, I'm sure you would probably have to address in contracts. What is the timeline from start to finish? Mm-hmm. Not just when you get the money. No, you need to be doing something now. What is your timeline that you're going to do, or even after you get the money? They want to know the timeline of how long this is going to take. 12 months, 24 months, 8, whatever. Timeline. Then we're talking about sustainability. A lot of people forget about sustainability plan. What do you mean sustainability? Well, these grantors wants to know, okay, we're going to give you this $250,000, but what you going to do when it's gone?
So what's your plan for this? Is that a part of your workbook? Those questions that you just addressed?
Yes, I talk about all those things. And then another thing is evaluation. They're going to want to know, how are you going to test yourself to see what you're doing is working? Love it. So what kind of evaluation tool are you using? Are you going to use interviews? You're going to, in the beginning, you have your formative, right, questions. Then you have maybe a midpoint where you come back to the same people, after they've been through your program for a while, see if they're having any progress. Then you have your summative, evaluation at the end. Okay, at the end of this 6-month program, have this person gotten the job skills? Have they gotten a job? That's a success story if they're going through your program and it's supposed to be for them to get job skills and at the end, hopefully have a job. Mm-hmm. So evaluation, how are you evaluating your progress? So a lot of these things, people don't think about, but that's all a part of the grant process.
Wow. And I didn't know that. So, so thank you so much for educating us. So, I don't know. When we met, I don't remember the platform that we met, but I always tell people that in order to grow, right, we have to be lifelong learners, right? And I know you and I met in a course or something, some type of program. And I always recommend, and I know a couple of people that's interested in being grant writers. So of course, I always say the same thing, we're better together. And so I always say that your net worth is as large as your net worth. And I truly believe that, right? So I will be connecting those two people that I know that's interested in, becoming a grant writer with you. But what I wanted to talk about specifically is that have you, because my love is government contracting, have you thought about, because everybody that I'm talking to, right, I have to let them know, regardless of who you are, what you do, what space you're in, government contracting is out there. There's a contract with your name on it. But have you particularly looked into government contracting?
Well, that's how we met.
Okay.
It was on that platform with Damon or whatever his name was. He had that contracting platform, right?
Yeah.
And so that's how you and I met and found out we were both in Atlanta. And then the story continues, right? So from that off and on, I've looked at it, then I get distracted and get back, then I go back to it again. But I have not actually completed all the steps I need to prepare myself. And I know that as a subcontractor. So I know I don't have to have all the things that a prime needs to have. But I do want to have, and it's funny you asking me this because I have somebody that was going to help me get all this stuff done. And then I lost contact with him. And
You got me. You got me.
I know you so busy though.
I am, but I'm putting it together. I'm putting systems together. I promise you I am. But yes, but you got me though. We're going to do something.
I'm about to say we're going to have to talk after this.
We will.
I'm seeing an opportunity where we can help each other out.
Yes, for sure, for sure. So I had to throw that in. Government contracting, with what you're doing, government contracting is a way. And so with that, I'm going to ask this hard question because I don't know the answer. And I know the folks that are watching probably don't know the answer either. So it's a hard question. How much does it cost for you to write a grant? And does it vary?
So I've created some different options, right? I have a 3-month option to where if somebody wanted to work with me for 3 months, and it's, that's like $4,500, and they can do monthly payments. And
I we're not credit card. Can I charge it?
Girl, yes. Oh, look here. I'll send you that Stripe invoice in a minute. What? But look, so it's that option. Then I have an option if somebody want to have me on retainer, right? Or they just want a couple of things done. Maybe they found a grant already and they know it already matches. They already got their outline and they got all the information. And really, they just need me to maybe, plug it in, fix it up, the way it needs to be, written. Because what happens, this is the way I work. When I work with a client, one of my main things, of course, is they have to have everything in order, but to create what I like to call a grant template. Now, this grant template is going to have everything in it. I'm talking about this is almost like I would say a business plan, right? It's going to have all that information in it. But then when you get ready to apply for a grant, you got to tweak it and you got to fit it to what that grant is asking for. So you're going to have to change it up some, but you got this master document, right? So from this master document, maybe it's 5,000 words. It's probably more than that, but 5,000 words maybe. But let's say for the program description, and I'm just using this for an example, because most of the applications are online, right? They only giving you 500 words to put in this one section to talk about your program description. But in your program description, yours might be 800 words.
Oh, wow.
So now you got to figure out what 500 words to pull out of that 800 words that they want to hear. It's going to get their attention. So that's how I kind of like to work. So going back to your question, maybe somebody's already found a grant. They already got the information they need. So now all I need to do is plug in, maybe get some statistics, maybe do a little research, or maybe, just like I said, pull out the 500 words out of the 800. I'm just using it for an example because there's a lot of sections in the grant. pull that out because, knowing what to pull out and what they need. And I always say pull the meat off the bone. And that's what you put in that section. Right. So I have an hourly rate that somebody can pay. So maybe they only need a certain amount of hours per month because they only need me to do a couple of things, or they only need my agency to do a couple of things. So it kind of, that's kind of like a la carte type services. So it just depends on how much work the client needs us to do.
Mm-hmm. And when you present to a client, you present all of those options, Anita?
Yes, especially once I talk to them, and hear what it is, where they are, right? Maybe they don't even have, they don't have anything. They don't have a business plan. They don't have no outlines for me to get in. And this has definitely happened to me many times. They don't have anything. And so it's like, okay, well, we can't even apply for grants right now.
Right.
Because we got to create your packet.
That's what I like not what they want to hear. They don't want to hear you tell them, you ain't ready. No. You ain't ready.
No. But I mean, like I said, it ain't magic. I can't do magic tricks over here. I ain't like the Wizard of Oz and I'm pulling all these. Nah, I can't do that. I ain't doing that. Right. So, so I might have to sit down and do them interviews. Like I said, that's time. You might not want to pay me per hour. If it's going, we talking about that. We started from zero. Right. You don't want to pay no per hour. I'm telling you now.
So the video that you created, that they can watch the video, they can do the workbook, right? And then they can be in front of you, right? They're ready to be in front of you. Is that how it works?
So I wouldn't do that until they actually sign up to work with me.
Okay. So you wouldn't give them anything. Okay.
No, I know what I normally do. I give a checklist that I have, and I think I just got an idea today of what I want to kind of do with that checklist. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna actually create a training from the checklist because I was talking to one of my colleagues today, and I actually did an overview of what I teach on that video with my colleagues, and they were overwhelmed. And I had to think about it. I'm like, well, but that's what all is involved. But everybody, it's too much. It's too much. It's like I say, it's overwhelming. Then they don't want to do nothing.
Right.
So just today, I was like, you know what? I'm gonna use this checklist, and I'm gonna start using that for the Get Grant Ready, the first initial, to have them understand what each one of these things is and what is needed, why it's needed, before they even get over here to stuff on the video, because the video is all three phases. Okay. And they ain't ready for all of that. Right. So I just thought, the spirit just dropped it in my spirit today. It was like, okay, you got to come up with another way for people to be able to digest a little bit at a time as you're teaching them. Don't give them all the shebang. Just break it down. So I normally do give that checklist. If nothing else, I give them that checklist so they can kind of see, because some people say, well, let me get some of this stuff together first. I'm like, okay, I'll give you this checklist, before you start working with me, if that's what you want to do, because I can help you with the stuff on the checklist. Right. But go ahead, take this checklist so you kind of know what you're getting into, what you're going to need. So then we'll go from there.
Love it. I love it. I can keep talking because, like I said, you've educated me today because I actually didn't realize, I knew it was research, right? I knew it was research, but I didn't realize that it was as involved as it is. And I think it's important for, us, the audience, to understand, there's opportunities out there, grants. And I know you said that just because you apply for a grant doesn't mean you're necessarily going to win the grant. And that's another thing. People be like, they think, oh, I'm going to apply for this one and I'm going to win it. And that's even like with contracting, right? I tell my students that it's a numbers game, right? That you can win a contract. Really winning a contract is easy. I say that. It's performing the contract. But I played basketball in high school and college. And I always say, you can't make the shot that you don't take. So you have to take the shot. You can't win the bid that you don't bid on. You got to bid. And it's a number, even with your grants. So I really, really love it. And so we're going to get this course together and we're going to get this checklist together. Cause I mean, I'm just thinking about all of the stuff and I'm just really excited about just having the conversation with you so that I can understand more about what you do. And I love meeting people like yourself that's living in their purpose, right? That's doing what they truly love. And I can tell that you love it. And I can tell because you just light up when you're starting to talk about, you got to do this and this and this, you know what I'm saying? And people think it's easy. Oh, it's easy. I'm just going to pay a grant writer, right? But it's intense. What you do is intense. Yeah. And it's time consuming, right? Time consuming. So we can talk. We're gonna talk after this though. We're gonna talk after this. But
Okay.
let's kind of close it up because I want you to tell people like how they can find you because I know you're doing more stuff than what we just talked about today. If you wanna tell them, because I think you have like a television show or something.
Yes, I do. I do. That's one of my newest ventures as my You Make a Difference TV show. I am on the Zonja TV network, which is out of Dallas, Texas. And we're actually, well, no, hang on. Let me leave that surprise. I ain't gonna talk about that yet. But
Tell everybody.
I'm gonna have to tell you. I'll tell you. I can't tell everybody yet. You can't let the cat out of the box for its time. Right?
Yeah, it'll be everywhere. All internet.
Right, exactly. But the Zonja TV network is in 197 countries with 350 million viewers. So we are helping businesses and entrepreneurs expand their brand. So I was like, Lord, well, how is this going to go together? Because I didn't realize I had a love for doing what you're doing now. To interview people and have their genius come out and have people to learn about their genius and be able to tap into that to help them grow, right? So I have a love for that. I didn't know that till about a year or so ago. I was like, oh my God. So that's why I got into this. And so I was like, okay, Lord, show me how this will connect what I'm already doing. And just recently, really, I started seeing the connecting dots because one of the things that nonprofits and businesses need is an audience.
Yes.
If nobody knows what you're doing, how are you going to get support?
Say it again.
Right. If nobody knows what you're doing, you over here doing all these awesome things, right, in your corner of the world, but don't nobody over there on that corner know what you're doing or that one. If you want to get that support you need,
yes,
you got to get your name out there. You got to get your brand out there. You got to get, what you're doing and your passion and people to see what you're doing and love it and connect with you. They got to see you. Yes. So you got to be visible. So I was like, oh my God, I never thought about that. That is awesome how you showed me how that connects. So having this TV show can help people, expand their brands, have people to connect with them and be like, oh my God, I love what she's doing. Let me see how I can connect with her to support what she's doing. I can't do it, but I can support somebody else that is. So that's how I see it. And, and I think it's so ironic and God-like, really, that he gave me that name, You Make a Difference, because it's all about people that are making a difference in their communities, in their world where they are, their sphere of influence. Yes. So I love that. I love the fact that I can use it now to help people like you and others that need to get their message out there, really to get your message out there so that you can create a momentum so that people will want to support you and all the awesome things that you're doing. So that's one of the things that I do is, the TV show. Of course, I'm a consultant, business consultant and coach with those things that I do as far as grant funding. I also now, I'll tell about my website in a minute, but I have the opportunity now to offer funding options for people, right? Because like I said, well, I don't know that. I think this was in our conversation before we started recording. I tell people all the time, grants is just one egg in the basket. Yes. You can't put all your hopes and dreams on a grant because you may not ever, I'll just be real with you, you might not ever get a grant. But you got, like you said, you got to keep trying. You got to keep doing it. You got to keep getting your feet wet and learning the process. But in the meantime, if you're not getting grants, what are you doing? You going to keep bootstrapping coming out of your pocket? No. You got to have a fundraising plan in place. You got to have supporters. You got to have sponsors, right? Donors. Yeah. This is something to go on annually. These are these other eggs in the basket, right? I don't even know how I got on this, but those are the things that people need to realize is you can't just, that's just one egg in the basket, basically, right? And so I don't know how I got on that. We was talking
You were
about
helping with
all the
funding.
things I do.
You help with
Right.
funding.
Thank you. So I have a platform that I utilize, or my clients can utilize. And the way I saw it when they was, first presented to me, they presented as your clients can get funding to pay you so they can go through your program, which is awesome.
Okay.
Right? They can go through there. There's over 20 plus lenders that they can see if they qualify for, right? But the way I saw it is, well, they don't even have to be my client per se. If they just need funding to do something they need to do, they can come through me and get that through this platform that I utilize, and that's just another funding strategy for what they need to do, whether it's a business or a, nonprofit. So I'm excited about that, being able to offer that.
Stay there just a second, because that perked my interest, right? Because I have a lot of students, right, that are in business, that are doing government contracting. And what happens is, I tell you, winning the contract, you can do that. That's easy. But it's performing the contract. A lot of people don't understand you have to have the capacity to perform the contract. That means you have to have the money, your funding, to be able to float payroll, to be able to float supplies, materials for 30 days or however long it takes. And sometimes they say 30 days, and sometimes it's 45 to 60 days, right? Depending on what type of contract it is and which agency. But we may have to come back together, because
of course,
that's powerful, especially for my students, because that's what a lot of them run into, is the funding. So do they have to have good credit to get this funding? Is the interest rates crazy? Tell me a little bit about it. You're gonna have to come back.
All right. So what I've seen is the average, credit score can be a 580, right? But now you know how that works. You can have a 580, but what is your income to, debt ratio?
Debt income ratio.
Right. What is your credit history? Right. Do you have credit history? People don't understand. Well, I ain't got bad credit because I don't have credit at all. Well, that's almost as bad as having bad credit. Because if you don't have credit or you don't have a history, then they don't have anything to go by. So now they're taking a chance on you. So now you about to pay 39% interest rate because they don't know. I'm just using it for an example. I haven't seen one yet that was that high, but
right.
I'm just using it for an example. You don't have history. So now it's like you got to pay this high interest rate because you got to build that first with them. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it varies just like anything else. And then in the first half of it is like a 5-minute or less app. It's a soft pull. So no, dings on your credit. If you qualify for any of the lenders, they'll show up on the next screen, and then you decide if you want to apply, right? And once you do, then they're going to do the hard pull. Right. So once you decide which one of those you might want to try, that's when they actually do the hard pull. So the first part of the application, effortless, because it ain't going to hurt you at all. You just finding out, do you qualify? And then, the second half would be when they do the hard pull. But yes, we definitely need to talk more about that.
Yes, because I've got students that need funding. Well, we can talk forever, and we will. We're going to.
Yes, I love it.
Hey, tell people how they can find you, how they can get in contact with you. I'll add it in the notes at the end of this video, but tell the audience, how can they get in contact with Anita Newson?
Well, I try to keep it simple because that's how I like to live life, right? Right. So on social media, whether that's Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, and one of my VAs just created a TikTok. I was like, girl, I don't know what to do over there. I'm gonna need you to do that, boo. I don't know. I don't do all that. That's too much. So my name there is Anita N, and that's together. Anita N. N is my last name, of course, Newson. So Anita N, the Biz Coach. So that's on all of those platforms, or Anita Newson, right? And then my website is AnitaInTheBizCoach.com. Okay. Same thing, AnitaInTheBizCoach.com. And my email is info@AnitaInTheBizCoach.com. right? So I try to keep it very simple.
Yes. I have truly, truly love being here and learning all about how you're living your best life, doing what you love, and how you're utilizing the tool of grants, right? I tell people there's so many vehicles to being successful and being a millionaire. Everybody's trying to be a millionaire, right? I'm telling you, we're millionaire. But there's so many vehicles in order to be successful, and you've chosen to do grants, and I love it. I love it. You know, I'm going to get you tied into that government contracting for sure. But thank you so much
Thank
for the
you.
time.
Thank you.
Guys, you know, in closing, this is Dr. Melissa J. Williams. Live your best life doing what you love. You only have one life, guys. So live it to its fullest. All right. In closing, take care and God bless. All right. Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Blessings.
Yes. Thank you.